Moving on, the ANC in Tshwane is speaking on corruption in the DA-led Tshwane municipality, what it calls the biggest corruption scandal since 1994. Our reporter Natasha Piri is reporting live from there. Let's go live to that conference.
The city of Tshwane was supposed to otherwise do same for same, bananas for bananas, but also get discount and benefit. The treasury note says that to accounting officer. And in this instance, the accounting officer of this city is the city manager. The level of disregard and rectitude displayed by the city manager and the DA administration in this instance is at unprecedented levels. Documents in our position clearly demonstrate that the DBSA contract from which the city manager procured the services of Glad Africa was awarded for a period of 3 years from the 20th November 2014, which means that the contract was supposed to run till November 2017. What is peculiarly intriguing is that the contract concluded between the city and Glad Africa was signed on the 20th of November 2017, exactly 1 day after, post facto, the 3 years of the original contract upon which Regulation 32 was invoked. This is out of the legal framework of Regulation 32 as stipulated. A contract to be used for Regulation 32 and between organs of state should be valid in the period wherein the services are required. As if that was not enough, the original contract had appointed a panel of service providers, and yet the city manager chose one amongst the panel of service providers to be awarded the contract. Worst of all is that the city manager did not appoint Area Project Managers Consortium led by Glad Africa as is in the source contract, but instead appointed Glad Africa outside the consortium. Even if Glad Africa owns ARIA, the city manager was supposed to appoint ARIA as the original contracted party. So it was legally flaunted because there was no one called Glad Africa that was contracted at DBSA for cities support contracts on their panel. It is clear as daylight that the awarding of the contract was flawed from the start. We have instructed our legal team to look further into the matter as we are intending on pursuing this in court, this particular act of maladministration without fear or favor. The Tshwane so-called contract, the sham PMU, stipulates that Glad Africa has been appointed to oversee a capital budget of approximately 3.7 billion in the 2017-18 financial year with a 10% fee drawn for the professional services provided. To date, since the commencement of the contract, approximately 250 million worth of fees have been paid for by the city towards the sham PMU. These are middleman fees where Glad Africa had to pay other contractors on behalf of the city of Tshwane, as if the city of Tshwane doesn't have a financial department to pay its own service providers. The sham PMU is charging the city ludicrous fees ranging between 2,000 and 4,000 per hour, which are inflated higher than the regulated rates as issued by the Engineering Council of South Africa. The regulated rates for professional service range from 800 to 1,200 per hour. The sham PMU is clearly reaping the people of Tshwane. Perhaps let me stop there again. You must go to DBSA and make your own investigation. You can use two regulations in this country. One is PAIA and the other one is PAJA for access to information. You must go and request as journalist that DBSA give you the original rates that were provided. We'll also give you, but you can do your own independent review on this. What we know, and this is exactly the problem with this contract, is that there were extra services requested by the city of Tshwane on top of Regulation 32, and we can prove it. We know in this country and in local government or province or national how professional services, they call them PRTs, work. The PRT, it's a comprehensive requirement where a PMU will have all the other things like legal and other services that will render a service to a municipality or a province or a national department. In this instance, engineering consulting services were requested on Regulation 32, as I said, bananas for bananas. When they arrived in Tshwane, they became bananas for apples because there were extra services. That's why the norm of 800 to 1,200 of EXA, which is the Engineering Council of South Africa, was not followed, and hence extra services of ranging between 2,000 and 4,000, because there were other attorneys and other things in the contract that they were then put forward. So this has exactly nothing to do with engineering consulting, but rather with other people who were added as a service. Now, tell me, how do you add other people on Regulation 32, because it's supposed to be bananas for bananas? So the issue here that you must investigate is to go to DBSA and check when they did the appointment and advertisement, did they include that other people that now the city, because now the PMU also acted as now a finance department of the city of Tshwane. The 250 million, if we decompose the detail of the 250 million, trust me, you will find more information that is not related to the actual Regulation 32 contract. So I would like to challenge all you of journalists, before you write this story, go and get information for yourselves. And you can ask your media houses to request via Paja of Paia to get the information in this regard. Let's continue. Evidence at our disposal shows that the bulk of invoices submitted have been paid for by the Roads and Transport, Housing and Human Settlement departments. It appears that there is a trio of kleptomaniacs who are hell-bent on collapsing the finances of the city. The trio is made up of the city manager, Mr. Mweketi Musola, Councillor Sekumbuge, the MMC of Roads and Transport, Councillor Nkomo, MMC Housing and Human Settlements. It cannot be business as usual anymore when kleptomaniacs such as this continue to remain at the helm of the city and its departments. We are calling for their immediate resignation and their immediate cancellation of the corrupt contract of thieves. We want the executive mayor to demonstrate that the amount of services and infrastructure delivered for the approximately 250 million spent thus far. We also want an itemized breakdown of the amounts paid. The executive mayor, Councillor Solim Simang, must show us what the money delivered for the people of the city of Tshwane is it for. Taxpayers' money cannot be siphoned and stolen in this manner without anyone accounting for it, and will never allow it to happen. We want to unequivocally state that we will not allow such gross act of maladministration to happen in our watch. The city manager, in his desperate pursuit of looting the city coffers, has intimidated some senior managers to utilize the PMU or otherwise face the music if they choose to defy the order. Mweketi Musola is known for his antics of acting like an untouchable accounting officer who can intimidate anybody, including his political principals. In one mayoral committee, it is alleged that he threatened to beat up Councillor Silas Brink, the MMC Human Capital and Shared Services, calling him a small boy. It is this attitude that he is meting out to the people of Tshwane with this corrupt PMU contract. This situation has led to a very untenable atmosphere of fear amongst the senior management officials. We can never stand back and allow such to happen on our watch. On the relinquishment of duty by the executive mayor, Solim Simang, what is even more unsettling is that this grand theft is happening right under the watch of the executive mayor, Mr. Solim Simang. We have received information that the executive mayor of the city of Tshwane has called a press conference before the one called today by the ANC in Tshwane. Apparently, the executive mayor wants to distance himself from the corruption and maladministration in the city of Tshwane and cite the CFO, the city manager, as the sole responsible persons in this regard. We want to warn the executive mayor because we know he is not in good terms with the city manager, but the corruption and maladministration affects both of them. They are responsible jointly and severally for the mess on behalf of Democratic Alliance in the city of Tshwane. The following is the legal and legislative argument why the mayor is responsible. Regulation 6 of the supply chain management clearly indicates that council must, through the executive mayor, play an oversight role in the implementation of the supply chain policy. Moreover, on a monthly basis, a supply chain report on all contract appointments in excess of 200,000 is tabled at Mayoral Committee as legislated, a committee which the executive mayor chairs. Let's stop there for a while. If the executive mayor on record a few days ago says to journalists, Mr. I don't know, I was not there, unquote. If he says that he doesn't know, where was he on all the required monthly mayoral committees where all contracts above 200,000 were tabled? In other words, any appointment in the city, if it's above 200,000, must be tabled to the mayoral committee for approval. And the mayor chairs that committee. It's his committee. So if he says he doesn't know any of the things we're speaking about, he also says that he did not chair any of the mayoral committees and no reports were submitted. So I just wanted to put context to this, that the executive mayor at the end of the day is responsible for each and every contract that passes through his committee, which is a mayoral committee appointed by him and chaired by himself as well. So everything else that comes through there, he as the chair must either say approved or not approved. So if he doesn't know, it simply means there's gross incompetence from his side. So the journalist must never accept any longer when the executive mayor of Tshwane says, I don't know how this was appointed, I don't know this person doesn't have a degree, I don't know, I will investigate. He himself, then he must investigate himself and his committee, because he is the custodian of the mayoral committee and actually chairs the meetings. Let's just continue. This means that the executive mayor was aware of such an appointment of a sham PMU when it was made, and if he does not, he cannot claim ignorance but incompetence. Moreover, the executive mayor cannot hide behind Section 117 that says that councillors are not allowed to participate in tenders, as the latter section must be read together with Regulation 6, which empowers him to perform oversight on each and every contract, as alluded to in the latter paragraphs. The executive mayor, his mayoral committee, and the city manager are all equally responsible for appointments made in the city of Tshwane, and that is fact. Perhaps let's give an examples of litany of incompetence in the city of Tshwane. Ever since the DA took over administration of this city, we have seen them roll back the gains made by the ANC government in less than 2 years. We have seen the DA administration employ unqualified senior managers. We have seen them gradually disinvest from townships. We have seen them shut down progressive programs of the ANC, only to resuscitate them at a later stage under a different guise. We have seen them go on a massive purge of qualified senior officials for political expediency. And now we see them creating a shadow administration in which supply chain processes are done away with and tenders for pulse and the order is the order of the day. Perhaps before we come to remedies, which is the concluding part of this press statement, let me just say that this is the first of an array and litany of more that we are going to bring out. The mayor and the city manager are warned that if they continue to intimidate officials, CFOs, and officials in the city that they are leaking information, they must remember that information of the city is for public consumption. There is nothing secretive about information on appointment of contractors in the city of Tshwane. Unless the DA is telling us that they are moving from the adage that they have said to people over the years, that wherever they govern, they are clean. Now they are coming to the city of Tshwane and starting to intimidate and hide contracts and hide their dirty linen. We are going to continue as the ANC to tell our people and the nation and the world that one of the biggest or third largest ambassadorial capital cities in the world, the city of Tshwane, has an executive mayor who doesn't know how his capital budget is spent. An executive mayor who intimidates officials, CFOs, people who must run the finances, because for political expediency of hiding that the DA is corrupt to the core, wants to make sure that all the information is hidden. So we are calling on the executive mayor of the city of Tshwane to stop intimidating officials in the city to do their jobs. We want to put it strongly that the ANC will never stop and will never be intimidated or otherwise told false information when we have the facts about how incompetent the executive mayor and the city manager have been in this city. We know for a fact, and we can pull out evidence, that there are a number of things that were done from 2016 August that were put under the carpet. These things were done because the current mayor of the executive mayor of the city of Tshwane is not competent, but also doesn't know the local government sphere. We also want to put it to you as we conclude before our remedies, that all of you must take a moment and go and investigate how the city manager was employed in this city. We can put it on record, and we know it, that there was no proper process followed for the appointment of the current city manager in the city of Tshwane. Clouds have gathered. We are not going to go back. We are going full-blown to expose that the DA is corrupt to the core, and we are going to ask you as journalists to reverse your cameras to the day that the city manager was introduced and check if there was an advertisement, there were applications, and whether he submitted his CV and was interviewed, and then the council approved the process from end to end. If there's none of that, you must know that the city manager of Tshwane has been appointing illegally because he was also illegally appointed. Let's conclude on our remedies. The ANC would like to put forward as solutions to the problem in the city of Tshwane, and we put this on record. One, we request this as remedies, that the President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, must sign an SIU Special Investigation Unit proclamation for the city of Tshwane since August 2016 to date. Two, the city manager, Mweketi Mosula, must be suspended with immediate effect pending investigations, and that the executive mayor, Mr. I don't know, I was not there, and Code Solimi Simang, must resign with immediate effect. Three, the ANC will immediately open a criminal case against the city manager. Four, the MEC of Kokta, which erstwhile called local government in Gauteng, must immediately put the city under administration and invoke Section 100. Five, the MEC of local government in Gauteng must immediately invoke Section 106(1)(b), investigation into corruption and maladministration in the city of Tshwane. Sixth and lastly, the Public Protector of the Republic of South Africa will immediately receive formal complaint and please investigate corruption of various cases in the city of Tshwane. I thank you.
Thank you very much, members of the media.